Hilarious Smite League. I'm Jacob Wins, here alongside Mercury Morton, and you tuned in to the matchup, the mid-season matchup between Just Be Different and the Weiner Brigade. The first couple of bands coming in. Mercury band, excellent. Jingwei, they wanna get rid of that safety. Jingwei brings a lot of safety to the early game. We're just about to get into the picks. What do you think about these two teams, Mr. Morton?
These two teams are interesting. I think Just Built Different coming into this game are definitely the favourites. But these are two teams that have put a lot of effort, more so than most, into improving their game. And I've personally been screaming with Weiner Brigade, and every single game they've played, they've gotten better and better. I think the result of this game really comes down to how certain players on each team perform tonight. And for me, with the side of Weiner Brigade, I'm looking at Big Joe and Lagosaurus. And for the side of Just Built Different, I'm looking at probably see how Traumatized and Cobain get along. If either of those have really good games tonight, then that should be the sort of catalyst for them as their win condition,
Oh, for sure. Big Joe used to being a win condition, but without a doubt, the Weiner Brigade struggled during the first half of this season. We'll see if they can rebound, and I think Just Built Different is a team that looks a little bit vulnerable to me. Perhaps the Weiner Brigade can turn their season around, and perhaps that starts tonight.
Yeah, we're hoping so. They've gone through some captaincy changes, some roster changes, and they have come out of it with a new sort of lease on their smart life, I suppose. I'm hoping that today they perform, because I think they are a strong team. They've just yet to show it to the league. They are in for a tough fight, though. It doesn't matter who you are when you're playing them. Just Built Different will always put up a fight. They have a we can always win type attitude, and honestly, whenever they've got tier on their team, there is always a possibility of a hard carry coming out of the way of the solo lane. So I'm hoping that Weiner Brigade have identified that, and they just put a lot of effort into either keeping that solo lane neutral, or at the very least just defending their buffs and just preventing a snowball.
First game I ever played of competitive Smite was a tier game. So if I understand correctly, there is a sub playing in this game. Can you lend us some sort of a profile about that, Mercury Morton?
Let's see, who is the sub? So we have, it looks like we've got Zamian Gamer playing for the Weiner Brigades. It looks like they are replacing Yoda. Okay, so Yoda is their jungler, and Zamian Gamer, I've seen them play in the Prospect match the most recently, and to be brutally honest, I wasn't impressed. There was a lot of issues. I think they just didn't really perform in those Prospect matches, and it's got me kind of concerned for the outcome of this match. But we'll see. Maybe it was a sort of one-off performance in those Prospect games. We'll see how they do tonight.
You can never tell how someone will interact differently when they've got a real team that they've practiced with, and that's practiced together for half a season now in Galeria. I can only hope for the best for Zmanian. Perhaps he can get on another team in the next season if he performs excellently in this game.
Yeah, we'll see how they get along. I'm looking at these team comps at the moment, and it seems fairly standard on the side of Weiner Brigades. We're seeing the Baba Yaga, who I think undoubtedly is probably the best late game level 20 mage in the game at the moment. The Cucullin, we're starting to see a bit of a rise of. Honestly, in this league, he's been really performing well. If being piloted by the likes of Lena and Alfie01, they've really shown people what this god is capable of in this meta. And I think the overall changes to the minions on the minion waves in terms of their tankiness, and it is kind of helped him, believe it or not, because you're able to get more rage. I think you can hit your transformation on the first wave, I believe now. quite early, and you're just seeing more rage stacked up whilst you're clearing lane. And Shubalanke, I mean, in a meta where you're trying to get to level 20 and get to those late game team fights, when you take a hunter that scales so well so late, I think that's a really strong pick, and he's going to do well, I think, into the Cupid.
You know, when I look at this composition from just built different, I, I see what looks to me like a team that wants to just, you know, slowly control the game, overcome any hurdles that the Nemesis might cause in the early and just, in the late game, W key. I see Cupid, Nike, Morgan Le Fay, that's a win condition. If this team can just, hold some semblance of control going into the late, I think that Xingqian is really going to help them get picks and they're going to be able to run this game. We're almost wrapped up with the picks and bans and prepared to hop into this game. It looks like the last pick coming out is from Just Built Different. They're hovering Hunbots, and that's consistent with what I just said. The other side, we've got a Nemesis, Ganesh, Shibalanke. There's definitely potential for them to coordinate some nice ganks.
Yeah, I think that Just Built Different, they're running the spaced out finals winning team comp here with the Cupid and the Bats. And I like the idea. You get to level 20 and you just rely on those team fight ultimates to just stomp through those late game team fights. And I think for the most part, Wiener Brigade's draft is actually okay into those matchups. However, this Nemesis pick, I feel like when you're a jungler and you see a Cupid locked in, there's just, in my opinion, there's not a world where I want to play Nemesis at all into a Cupid. Like if I was the Wiener Brigade jungler this game, I'm looking at this team comp sort of, and I'm licking my lips thinking, I want to play Camazots here. I just want to be out above the fight, just completely unaffected by the Cupid ult, the Xingtian ult, and if you're early enough, the Bats ult, the Morgan ult. And I think a Camazots into this comp really does a lot of work for Wiener Brigade. I think the Nemesis is going to be one hell of a rough matchup,
Oh
honestly.
yeah. And you know what I see when I look at these teams, Morton?
What do you say?
I see asymmetry. I see a Nemesis and a Kukulin going up against Nike, and I just think, oh, if Just Built Different aren't careful, I see that as a point of failure for them. So they've definitely got to keep Nike safe and allow her to catch up with the rest of the team in the late game.
Yeah, and it's good that you mention it actually, because one of the things that I've noticed quite a lot is, as good as Tyr is in the solo lane, and it's among the upper teams, we've discussed this before, that he does have a tendency to really overextend in these late game team fights. Is so strong in lane, but when it does, and it's something I hope that we won't see today. But he does have a tendency to overextend, and I know Brex, and I know that, and I've played with Brex a lot, and I know that when he sees a knight locked in on the other side of the team, he's going to be getting a sundering spear. I can almost guarantee that a sundering spear is going to come the way of Brex. I'm looking probably beads first, and then a sundering. And if that's the case, if Tyr does happen to overstep, and the Wiener Brigade sort of discuss with each other and go, okay, wait for him to come forward, pop his ult, we'll sundering, we'll nem ult him, we just burn him. Then I think that may be a strategy they can use to turn around these late game team fights and sort of end them before they begin.
All right, and we're about to get into this game. Uh, we can't afford a traumatizing gameplay from traumatized if he wants to see his team winning. Um, as the players fan out across the map, I'm thinking more about how Zmanian really has an opportunity to take control of this game in the solo lane. And especially if Brex can coordinate some three mans, they can throw a wrench into the plans of Just Built Different, a team that looks like on paper they should be winning this game.
That's a bit different on paper. Should be winning this game, I think, and I think that. in my opinion, that's mainly off of this poor Nemesis pick. Just because she's one of the best junglers in the game right now doesn't mean you have to pick her just because she's available. Okay, that can often be a trap that other teams have set out. In this case, the trap was clear and visible. It was a bear trap painted bright red with pink glitter on it, and you've walked straight into it still. It's interesting decision to me. I do have some information coming through though that Zamian Gamer is not a sub, he's just Yoda is playing on an alternate account. So no sub there. It
Won't be
should be the
forgoing a core team member, right? Yoda, truly a stud, as we've come to see. Um, and there's things we haven't even talked about either. This duo lane dynamic. Ganesh wisely, I think, taking on the bees. Relic. The Wieners are just farming their mid wave. They're gonna get their back camps. It's a pretty standard setup. It's a pretty standard setup in the early game. And the level 2 spike in the duo lane, there's a little bit of potential here. They can go on. Oh, but the duo lane of Weiner Brigade is uncoordinated. They aren't able to capitalize on a Ganesh knockup. There was some miscommunication there, and Lagosaurus had a different target. Gauzy, great credit to him. With the body block, is able to mitigate that threat to his ADC. And it looks like... Oh, Dazzy under trouble. Dazzy under fire. He might be in danger, but he's going to get out with a sliver of health. The heart bomb stun is dangerous. You don't want them to turn the tables on you.
and a nice job
Definitely
there
adjust
from
the different
Lag
team.
to not
Yeah,
overchase that. It's very easy in that situation to just overchase that kill and get punished for it. Taking
and
their
just
wins.
built different. They were on the Oracle Harpies during that engagement. They could have been turned on. Dazzy in danger again, and this time I don't think he's going to get away. He just needs to hit one auto attack, and Lagosaurus does it.
Yeah, nice
Excellent
work.
work. They're taking
Re
care of business, the Weiner Brigade is. It's
Yeah, it's
impressive.
nice to see. Nice to see. It's not the duo lane for the Wien Brigades was always kind of weak for them, and to see how they've evolved over time is nice. To see them get first blood is very reassuring to see. Lagosaurus really has improved his game, but I've got to give credit also to the Ganesh. He played a huge role in them getting that kill. And Cupid's beads are still down, so they may get punished a second time here if they coordinate these beads timers with their jungler or their mid, and they come out looking for another gank.
First buff timers are about to come up, and it doesn't look like that duo leverage is going to bring them a purple or any sort of day. I think it'll be a pretty even game for the foreseeable 30, 40 seconds. But in Smite, you can never tell.
Yeah, and now that they know, look, we're looking for the purple invade here. Now that they know they have no beads, this is a prime time to bring your team over. But they're doing it without the support of their own team
They're
at the
about to get
moment.
collapsed on. This is going to be a 3-on-2 on the left-hand side. Just Built Different are gonna prove just how different they're built. Rex isn't getting away. Lagosaurus, we'll see. It looks
That
like he's
was,
out.
yeah, that
And the
was an
Nemesis
extremely
coming
poor
in.
decision.
Yeah, doesn't look like Zemanian is gonna find any counterplay for now. Really
You
good
just can't do
engage.
that, right? You just
Yeah, it
can't.
was
If you're not communicating with your team on an invade there on the duo lane, the red buff is spawning at the same time as the purple buff. You just can't go for an invade there unless you're communicating with your team and asking for at least some backup. And it's a good invade for them to take if they'd have communicated it with their team. We know that Cupid has no beads, so it would have been an ideal time for them to rotate over. Unfortunately, they didn't, and I think they just got punished for
definitely.
being a little bit overzealous.
I would characterize that move as overzealous. Sometimes you touch a hot stove, it burns.
They certainly did. They didn't just touch it either. They sat on it, honestly.
And I'm surprised we haven't seen much engagement on the right side of the map. If anything, Hoonbot's been paying more attention, but Zvanian's really, and maybe he should be, trying to press the attack on the duo lane side, given that first blood. I don't expect to see. I don't think this Coquelin looks vulnerable. To be completely frank, I expect to see the focus of this game in the jungle push back into the duo and mid, And it looks like the soul laners, where we thought might be a focal uh, zone of this game. Oh, Nemesis is engaging in the duo again. He's gonna pop the beads.
Yeah, it's a good trade. They've got the Cupid Beads once again, so hopefully they come back shortly to capitalise on the fact that she does have no ult and no beads. Now, if you're the just built different jungler here, I don't think duo lane's a lane that I particularly want to really ever go to. I just don't think that Umbats has any real kill potential on a Shubalanke if played properly. I would much prefer to be looking to just burn the beads on the Baba Yaga, because once her beads are down, you know there comes an opportunity where those beads are down. You can blink ult her in mid and just blow her up before she can even get a chance to pop the go house mode. So if I'm Nemesis, I'm looking for the duo lane. If I'm Bats, I'm looking around the mid lane, and I'm really playing off of those beads timers. You know, I'm trying to ult them, write those timers down for the team to see, and just return as soon as my ultimate's back up.
Aggressive bullying by this Nike onto Villager Gimple, and a bit of a misplay, I think. That was not the beads that he wanted. I think he expected, a true engage, but he really could have looked around, just look behind him to tell that, and unfortunately, drops the beads. That's an important timer.
Yeah, a bit of a panic beats, right? And I've noticed
Very
something here
disappointing.
coming out of the way of the Weiner Brigade's jungler. He's opted for the Crusher as the first item, and I think this is fundamentally wrong. I think first item for Nemesis just has to be Golden Blade. I don't think there's any situation at the moment in his current meta where you're not going Golden Blade. You just need it for the farm. You could really,
It's
really
been spotted
benefits
out on
from
this
it.
Cupid gank. It's been called. Can he get out? He can. And he panic ults, but let's be real, I don't think anyone saw it, and it wasn't that great of a timing to do anything about. Just built different as they re-engage. Dawsey's chasing a little bit farther than his teammates. He doesn't get anything out of it. Gets good knock-up. Perhaps his carries can follow through with some damage. Looks like it's another passive disengagement from the Weiner Brigade.
Yeah,
So Dawsey coming over.
they sniffed around, they forced a rotation, they got 2 minis, so it's a small win.
Yeah.
Pennies make pounds, right? I'm sure they'll be somewhat pleased with it. If they notice the Cupid ult, it's a valuable bit of information for them to act upon if they so desire.
Neither of the mid laners had any interest in that.
Yeah, if I'm the Baba Yaga, I don't think I've got too much interest either, really. As a Baba Yaga, I'm just wanting to maximise my farm as much as possible. When the game remains even for as long as possible, I'm happy as a Yaga player. I just want to hit level 20 and not be behind. And as a Yaga player, I'm happy with that. And as we see, it looks like Big Joe does in fact have a level lead over Morgan at the moment, just doing exactly
Yeah.
that. Just trying to farm for them late game spikes. And Baba Yaga at level 20, I think is going to be infinitely more valuable than a Morgan Le Fay, personally.
Absolutely. That's something you want to scale up to. And with the Warlock stab, uh, Joe is looking to be awfully big, at least big in his health bar. The question we see now is, when is this Gold Fury going to get contested by either team? And I don't see much of an incentive for that to happen, to be completely honest. I see Just Built Different, taking a bit of a commanding posture in this game, simply because it's even, right? And they don't have much interest in doing these objectives, I think, until the late game. And Wiener Brigade perhaps should have some of the early game leverage, but it just hasn't happened. There hasn't been anything for them going on past that first blood in left lane.
Yeah, and I think
Nemesis is looking to engage in mid on Morgan.
if you're the
It looks
side
like
of
it's just going to be a back camp steal, but Zmania needs to be careful.
he's going to get collapsed on by the looks of it, no, yeah, it's unfortunate. If you're the side of Wiener Brigade here, though, right, and you must notice by now that Cupid's beads ult is sort of going down willy-nilly, right? You only have to look in one direction, and they go down.
We have a fight in mid, and that's a great knock-up. Good beads by the Nemesis. It's going to get her out scot-free, it looks like, unless Just Built Different can take a look at objectives off of that. That's a big timer.
It's huge. And I mean, it's switched to the other side now, but I was saying the Cupid is throwing those ult and those beads quite frequently, and it could be something that the Winter Brigade's leveraged. If they know that the ult and the beads are down, then they should probably be sniffing around the Gold Fury. I know it's a lot tankier and harder to do now, but it's fairly straightforward if you just, bounce it and try and you can force them out into a fight. That's such a huge team file, and if they know it's down, I think they should definitely be looking to force a play around that area.
In the right lane, Villager is still getting bullied, and traumatized. His ult's coming up soon. They can't really punish for this. It's just a clean proxy farm. And truthfully, if the Hoonbots gets into this engagement, it might be looking bad for the Wiener Brigade. But it looks like they'll just do the classic dance around. Cullen, he's sitting pretty under tower.
A little
And
sniff, and they're out, right?
yeah, that's how it goes so often.
This is a good. Oh, it's a solo kill. That's really unfortunate.
Oh, yeah, Villager. I suppose he thought his teammates were gonna stick around for a little bit longer than they did.
Yeah, that's
Sometimes you
super
can just turn your
unfortunate.
brain off in the solo lane. It's quite easy to do when you're a warrior.
Yeah, this is something that we sort of mentioned upon in the pre-game. How Tier, you can't afford to let him snowball. You really, really need to at least be neutral with him in lane, because he really does have the potential to just hyper carry games from the solo lane. So this is quite dire for the Weeder Brigades, and they need to do everything they can to keep this lane as close as possible from this point out.
We'll see if once Brex has Sunder online, assuming he does go Sunder, we'll see Tiermatized getting his comeuppance. But as you said, we speculated that Tiermatized would get some kind of focusing, maybe from Zmanian, Nemesis ult, and the Sunder just totally shreds him down. Oh, and this is a good engage in the mid lane. Morgan Le Fay, Mr. Nacho is gonna, he's gonna kick the bucket. Can they look at Gold Fury off of that kill?
I think
Do
they
they
can.
have the ward vision?
Yeah, we
I think
see.
so too, but Traumatized, we have a little bit of a lead in the solo lane that's going to get brought into this Gold Fury fight.
Yeah, it looks the levels are kind of spewed all over the place, right? Because Big Joe kind of has a huge lead now, and they get that so free, and rightly so. Their leads in the mid lane is quite huge at this point, and they've also got a lead in the duo lane. So yeah, solo lane's not going great for them, but if they're going to force plays around the left hand side, they're really just essentially nullifying that lead from the solo lane for Tier and saying, yeah, you've got a lead, so what, we'll play around left. And nice play, really nice macro by the team there to recognise that they could get that.
It was
It's a
nice.
3-level lead now from the mid lane. This is, as
Yeah,
we said,
but what I
their
have to
winning
ask,
condition.
the question I have to ask is, where is Hunbats in that? Because that could have been a 4v5 with the solo lead. It's not looking so awful.
It's not,
And
yeah.
if Nike can zone out some of those carries, it's truly, maybe a Gold Fury that you can defend, if not steal.
Yeah,
But unfortunately, Hoonbot's just a really unfortunate back timing. And as an experienced jungler, you've got to know better.
yeah,
Lagasaurus, the
you
beast
definitely
mode.
do. Yeah, you should, especially considering they're not really zoning that right. It's such a free engagement for a Humbats there. You've just lost your mid laner. It's almost a given that they're going to be running straight to Gold Fury. Whether you're experienced jungler or not, you would at least expect your shot caller to make it known, right? Listen, drop what you're doing and get to Gold Fury. They're going
Yeah, of
for it, because
course.
simply showing face there should be enough to push them off of it.
But it should also be pointed out that it's nothing disastrous. You're still sitting on an even game. The kills are even, and the mid deficit is kind of compensated for by having that, you know, big balls Nike play. Uh, just walking all over Mr. Villager Gimple.
Without a
I'm not
doubt,
really sure how to pronounce some of these names.
the village. I always call him the village gimp personally, but
Village,
the
Village
village
Gimp.
gimp. That's right. The Nike's a strange one for me because I feel like she's going to really struggle. If we do see the Sundering Spear come out of the Ganesh, which I think they absolutely should do, we also are going to see that one of her tools for zoning damage from the ADC can effectively be silenced by the Baba Yaga. So I feel
Wiener
like it's
Brigade
going to
are
be
pressing onto the
rough.
Pyromancer. Traumatized. Can't do much but sit around and watch.
Maybe an ult.
It's a good ult. Yeah, I mean, that's a solid ult. There's been no Sunder, there's been no Nike ultimate, I don't think. There it is now, it's kind of late. Was it up? Was it up that whole time?
I think it was. I think he was just trying to be patient.
Yeah.
It's not the end of the world. I mean, it's great. It's good to see that he tried. He got in there, did what he can, and with some nice peel there from Machine 10, able to get away. It's still not the end of the world. It's going to be a slight gold lead now to
I
Weiner
just think
Brigade. But
Megatron is looking at the ADC, and there's so much going on there. Shibalanke takes a spill. Lagosaurus Rex. Speeds run on 30 seconds cooldown, which is unfortunate. They get some counterplay, some compensation in the mid lane. It's Mr. Nacho dying again. Big Joe is, we said he keeps getting bigger, but truly like a snowball, he is slowly accumulating precipitation, and pretty soon he's going to be a large
big
white
sweaty
mass of
boy.
death.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this is not good.
rolling over, just built different.
I feel like if there's one player, not player, but god on either side that you don't want right now with such a huge lead, it's Baba Yaga at the moment. She is so oppressive, especially when she's ahead. And it's getting to that stage now where she will just start poking you with her potions and half health in a squishy. It's getting close. And it's going to be a really rough time for them if they can't shut her down. But at the same time, this Nike is absolutely monstrous at the moment, and they really need to be getting involved with these plays because I think
Well,
they're the only ones that can shut down the Yaga. Honestly,
I've got to say, the Wieners came into this game looking hungry, and they're giving Just Built Different a run for their money, at least 17 minutes in. And
they
we'll
are,
see,
and
as this
they
Gold Fury comes up, as this Gold Fury comes up for contention again, both teams with some ward vision of the area, and the Wiener Brigade, it looks like they won it on cooldown.
it's excellent to see. But I think we're going to see a bit more of a defense now from Just Built Different, and rightly so.
Without a doubt. You can't let that thing happen again, what happened the first time.
Yeah, and I think if
All
you're Weiner
five.
Brigades here, you really need to be playing the poke battle. Using Yargar's ability to poke and disengage. This is where they need to be focusing on right now.
What preliminary relics can either team get? Can we force that weakness? Pillage Gimp taking a lot of poke. He's gonna heal that up pretty fast though. He's got sovereignty.
Yeah,
And truthfully, it's hard to find a vulnerability when your solo laner goes sovereignty. Oh, Nike ulting in. It looks like we were seeing some real action. And the Shibalanke ult, everyone's blind. Bats is lurking around in the duo lane. He hasn't done anything yet. He's looking at the solo laner. Oh, but he gets the beads out on the Baba Yaga. Baba Yaga momentarily disrupted from the fight. The front line of the Winter Brigade, it looks like. Their tail between his legs. Zemanian is running away. But everyone's so low. Oh, and the first to fall is traumatized. You wouldn't expect that. Dawsey's pretty low too, but he's going to get out. Megatron is out.
They need someone to zone. They have to zone.
They do. They need some zoning from Brex. But Brex doesn't have the health bar to do it. And neither does Village Gimp. Oh, the heart bomb just barely has a kill him, but he jumps forward and he can't get the kill either. Weiner Brigade has finished the Gold Fury, and now Cupid's gonna die. Oh my goodness, Shibalanke's found himself with the carries, just frigging juicy flesh, soft, vulnerable underbelly of the Just Built Different squad is presented in front of him, and it's almost a wipe. It's almost a wipe on top of the Gold Fury. What a swing in the past 20 seconds.
That was absolutely huge for the Weiner Brigade. I think that the core issue, in my opinion, that went wrong there with Just Built Different is that Traumatized went in with a really nice engagement, and he forced ultimates, but the Bats engagement comes so late after that. I really think it cost him that team fight. I think that Bats ultimate needed to come in a few seconds earlier, if I'm being completely honest. And now as a result, Weiner Brigade's running straight to Fire Giant, and I think rightly so. This is an excellent macro play by them. They just need to make sure if anyone shows up,
Jim has
probably
a
just
full
turn
health
them a
bar of his
burner.
own.
Does. And
Oh my
Nike,
goodness, it's starting down so low. It's only the tanks here to contest. How are they to steal? Traumatized. Yes, the ult just to survive. This is going down to 3. Oh my goodness, and it's stolen! It's stolen by Gauzy! That's unbelievable! Cupid dashes
Gauzy
in, he
diff.
gets a big ult! Oh, and that's game-changing! That's game-changing. The carries are burning down from the Weiner Brigade. The Wieners are just, oh, they're looking like docile little animals.
That was so poor from Weiner Brigade. You got to drop that Fire Giant. What a good steal, though. Really well played there, Dorsey. That's a true Dorsey diff.
Way to play your cards to stay alive for the longest amount of time. Traumatized, really, he stalled out. He stalled out with Dawsey, and Dawsey
Yeah,
didn't end up dying for it, but they got what they wanted.
he basically went in and ate an entire team's worth of kit and allowed Dorsey to come in and just pick up 3 people and you yeet them away. Just steal that Fire Giant for free. I think it was a really, really nice set of individual plays there from the front line of Just Build Different, but equally it was just such a poor play from Weiner Brigade. They really, really should have taken that Fire Giant for free. They had to drop that Fire Giant when they showed up there. It's a 5v2. You have to drop that. That's a critical shot calling error. And that needs
Teams
to
are
be
trading
addressed.
blows. These teams are trading blows 21 minutes in. You can frame it in the positive, you can frame it in the negative. Weiner Brigade, Weiner Brigade had an awesome swing on the Gold Fury side and Just Built Different. They blundered it. Sorry, the Weiner Brigade blundered it. Their advantage that they had momentarily.
They
They're
steal
actually able
the
to steal the
pyro.
Pyromancer. None of the teams that are starting the objectives are getting what they want out of it. Traumatized, he was here to take down the Trebuchet, and now he's just pushing all the way to the tower. I think he'll be the first person in this game to hit level 20.
Just want to know what's going on. This game is a real barn burner at the moment, and
It is
I
barn
think
burner is a good phrase to describe it.
I'm seeing that the Ganesh he's disappointed me, and he's gone for the sprint. Honestly, I don't mind the sprint. The sprint's fine for the Nike slow, but I really think I would have preferred the option to just sunder the Nike ult and just burn her. We saw in that previous engagement, right, how long it took them to kill the Nike, but how easy it was to essentially CC lock her in one spot and burn her down to absolutely nothing. I feel like if they had a sunder, you're essentially just going to free kill her off of a simple Ganesh knock up silence every time she goes in. I would have much preferred to see a sunder here out of the Ganesh.
The siege is beginning. Well, it's actually a reverse siege on the left-hand side. We sort of have a little bit of action. Weiner Brigade supporting each other by grouping up to push the wave back. It's good. It mitigates the time that JBD is going to have to really push with this Fire Giant. And they've chosen the left-hand lane. So at least 30 seconds more of peace, calm before the inevitable storming of the left-hand tower.
Yeah, right now they're just deciding to push out their waves, minimise the pressure that JBD can use to start sieging. I think this is a good decision. It's a nice call. And they're just ultimately just waiting for this fire buff to end, because they still have the gold lead. So this game's still perfectly even at this point, especially when this Fire Giant buff drops.
And the Fire Giant buff is close to dropping. They have little time left with it. They're going to see if they can salvage a Gold Fury out of this big win for them. Hoonbot's still lurking on the left-hand side. He's playing the same role he did the first time, but he's going to blink in now. He's going to ult over the wall, actually. That's the beats for Sri Lanka. And great work by the Weiner Brigade. Their front line, their dive has gone excellently. They're going to kill Hoonbots.
My God, the
It's
Jubilanke.
such low health bars once again. very
So
disjointed
much
fight.
value.
Doesn't mean it's uncoordinated. The Weiner Brigade clean up. Their Gold Fury streak is now at 3. Cupid, what are you doing?
That's
You
crazy.
gotta get out of there, my man.
You gotta
It's
leave.
a
They just died for you,
deicide,
bro.
and should they?
They back and go to fire, surely. I mean, they
True,
get a
yeah.
Gold Fury for
Surely
free, but
they
that
will.
fire's going to be up. That's
Cupid
really,
not
really
up for another
nice.
40 seconds. They have to start zoning that fire giant.
Yeah, getting their
It
deep
should be
waters out.
theirs this time.
It was
How can they plunder it again?
by
with
not
the with
by not
the
dropping it, I
with the
imagine.
25 minute game clock death timers.
Yeah, I think Dawsey's sort of, don't worry, lads, I've got this. No drama. I'll come steal it again. That's what they're looking at. There's a really,
Dramatized
got to
for
say,
5
I've got to
seconds.
point out, like, to Lagosaurus there, I've never seen a Shubalanke dash get so much value. If you didn't notice, he used to dash the CC immunity. He effectively nullified the Jing Tenno and the Humbat Salt with one dash. So much value out of one dash there. Really nicely played from him, and he pumped out. I'm curious to see, yeah,
Oh,
15k damage, 16. He's really pumping numbers at the moment. So, and he's not even full build, I don't think yet. So, fair play to him. Really nicely done.
it was an amazing immune, truly, and I called his beads. I was wrong. Oh, that's a misplay. You can't jump there. That's half his health bar. Good play by Weiner Brigade. They need that. They need to be poking out. Just built different. They're doing honestly what should be expected after that kind of a fight on Gold Fury. Can they
And it,
take this objective cleanly?
and it seems
They've
like they're really
struggled in the
feeling
past.
themselves at the moment, right? It looks like they're feeling confident. They're looking to be the aggressors. I just don't like how they're currently all stood on top of each other at the moment, though, with other
And I don't like how
combats
Huon Bots
lurking.
hasn't gotten any attention.
Yeah.
The objective's half health, 1/3 now. This is when Just Built Different need to engage if they want to, but it looks like Weiner Brigade's looking to drop the objective and burn. Xing Tian, great immune. Cupid. Oh, Cupid's fighting. Great Aegis by Cupid. Oh, he can turn this, and he does! Goodness, Cabane! Oh, he gets so much value out of his life. 4 down, and Big
Such.
Joe can't contest.
That was a
His
huge play there from Campaign. Really nicely done. I mean, so it was a little scuffed engagement there with the bat soul, and they really collapsed on the Cupid hard, but so much value out of just one Aegis, and that's, ladies and gentlemen, how to use an Aegis with maximum value.
the Chief Centaur has claimed a victim, and Just Built Different have. It looks like they're going to back and go directly to Fire Giant, which is probably the move. No Cupid to burn. This game is honestly far from over. I would not call that last fight decisive.
That is
Fire Giant starts in the ground. Just Built Different. This has gone terribly wrong for the Wiener Brigade somehow, and Rex, what can he do? He's gonna put his ult on it at some point. Now he's gonna use his one.
time it right. Quick breaks. Oh, it's so close.
Oh, he had every window of opportunity to do that.
Nice try. I think a little bit early on the ult, but it's a nice try. It's a support, you know.
Of course, there's little you can do as a Ganesh in that situation, especially when your team has, after those team fights, somehow lost another Fire Giant to Just Built Different.
I'm not gonna lie. I kind of thought that Ganesh one was probably gonna steal that. Then like, it came in at such a, I just
An
I just had that
opportune
feeling.
time.
Yeah, really,
Yeah.
really. Yeah, I was surprised to see that he could get close enough to get it off. Honestly. Yeah, this has really sort of been flipped on
My.
its head now. Uh,
It's been
it
flipped
just
on its head a
seems,
couple of times. This game's exciting.
yeah, it is
It's the type
exciting.
of
It just
smite that you like to watch.
It seems like Weiner Brigade are really struggling around their sieges, their objective sieging.
Objective
Really, it's
control. Yeah.
yeah, it's just they just seem uncomfortable. It's the only word that I can sort of use to describe it. Disjointed. I don't know. They lacking clear comms from a specific shot caller, or it just seems something's on going wrong there, and it's clearly something they need to work on because it's
Well, they got
honestly.
away with one. the Weiner Brigade, they got away with one the first time, but this time, JBD is gonna siege. They're gonna siege for real, and a big Hoon battle already. Oh my goodness, Manian's in trouble. Sorry, Big Joe in trouble. The Cupid ult comes out. That's an Aegis they're getting out of that. Good counter engage. Oh, the Nemesis doing some damage to the backline, but it looks like Traumatize is the only one who's really healthy here. As the objective burns. Oh, it's just going back and forth.
Nice defense so far.
Solid defense, yes. As they're close to their base, now that Manian's going to get back here, they have, truly slowed the offensive.
Still yet to see the Vabber ult as well, and if they decide to go in again, it could prove problematic for them. And I think they're making the right decision, honestly, to back off here. I think they could let the Fire Giant just sustain them up a little bit, potentially try to re-engage, or maybe look for the duo side towers instead.
Yeah, take the tier 2. It's a
Yeah,
consolation prize at this point.
so it
You know,
really nice defense there from the Weiner Brigade. They
it
came out of
was.
that with no damage taken to their Phoenix, so yeah,
It
really
was
nicely
good.
done.
And just some good timings on the Cullen engage and the Nemesis engage for me. Honestly,
Yeah.
you said you were a little concerned about Zmanian in the Combine, or the Scout games, but he's looked pretty sharp. I think just built different the Weiner Brigade as a unit has not looked too bad outside of the Fire Giant pit. The ult's gonna take in Cullen. Oh, and they're about to just push him back to their Phoenix. Goodness, they need to chase here. This is an opportunity, and Mr. Nacho finds. Oh, they've left themselves vulnerable. Big Joe out with a sliver of health. Oh, and it's all coming apart for the Weiner Brigade.
Oh, I don't think that was the play to chase them down like that. They got their pick. They should have been happy with it. Take the small wins. I think that was caught in like a 3 or 4 man combat slash Cupid out there. It's just never going to be nice. They really need to be working on just baiting those out rather than trying to pick them in before they're all being used on you at once.
Absolutely,
It's
but
really
one can see why they're not confident taking these near wins, and they can't capitalize on the Fire Giant fights. The next one should be decisive. The left Phoenix down, getting an EFG. Honestly, to me, I think that lens just built different the game.
it should do, right? And they've got this. One could argue that you've got this far side Phoenix at probably the strongest point that you can, because now when they go back and they clear out the jungle of farm, and now it's cleared they can back, buy their items, spend their gold. As we see, the EFG will just be spawning up, and you've already got minions pushing deep into this duo side of the map. So
They've assigned the wrong person to deal with it. Ganache is on the left hand side.
I would say so as well.
Galanke has replaced him, but it's still going to be a 4v5 on the right side, right, before there is parity achieved.
Yeah, and I think I'd rather see the Shubalanke over at Fire, as well as the Nemesis has been playing. I feel like Weiner Brigade should be playing this to steal slash push them back, and I think you do that best with your mage and your ADC. I'm not sure how much value a Nemesis will bring.
I think they can kill Nemesis at this stage in the game. If just built different, they go for too simple of a zoning technique on this Fire Giant, perhaps they'll get punished.
Yeah. Oh, and it looks like they sent the Nemesis back. I think that was the right call. You really do need. She's got no ranged poke, so I don't think she has much to offer there in terms of stalling this Fire Giant out. I think that's a good call there.
Oh, early Nike ult. Already engaging. Cupid follows up. And the front line is burning. The front line is going down. Oh goodness. Can Rex really even escape this? I don't think he will. And Hoonbot's eating. He doesn't get punished for it. He almost does. Little cheeky play by Zmanian Gamer, but actually,
That's game.
I think that's game. Yeah.
They're not even going to bother with a Phoenix.
They're going to capitalize on that little misplay. Weiner Brigade was looking a little too big for their britches, standing around in their own right-hand jungle.
Yeah, and
They're
here's the
just
thing
so
about
different.
Weiner Brigade. They honestly, through the game, the moment they started trying to go for Fire Giant, and it should have been theirs, I think. And honestly, I know it's not the right call, but they would have been better off just not going for it and trying to siege towers without, because they were in the lead the whole time. They go to Fire Giant, they screw it up, and the game just gets flipped on his head from that point. That's like two Fire Giants that I think they screwed up, and they if their Fire Giant fights are going to be that poor, I feel like you just honestly just don't bother, because them being ahead and going for those Fire Giants ultimately, I think
The team
is
that's
what
ahead,
cost them the game.
you have the choice, you know? You can
Exactly.
choose to, look for counterplay instead and just say, "Hey, if you guys want the fire giant, we can, win the game, right? Just push somewhere else." You don't have to take these fights as the team that's, looking so commanding after each and every Gold Fury engagement.
Yeah, and I think it was if I think I would be looking for them to go for a more sustained type pokey kind of comp. If their fire giant fights are going to be poor, I would be sort of looking more towards some sort of healer somewhere in the team and just looking to bait them at fire rather than trying to full commit. Because every time they full commit, they just lost. I just think maybe look for some poke comps with maybe a healer, sustained character somewhere. Maybe try and play off them that way. Because I don't think full committing to fire giants is really working well for them at all.
To agree. The eye poppers in the post game is, Baba Yaga and Cupid leading the damage for their teams. And truly, I want to talk about that Cupid late game impact because Wind Demon and Wind Demon Deathbringer, it was just completely annihilating Cucullin in that last fight. I think he thought, I think the Village Gimp thought he had a bit of leeway, a bit of forgiveness, and he just didn't. Cupid punished him for even a moment in the crosshairs,
Yeah, he
and
really
truly,
did.
you just
And
see the value of the EFG, leading this team that was, so desperate out of their Phoenix line, and it killed them.
yeah, and in terms of an individual play, the Cupid really did well, and the Humbats honestly to keep hold of those ultimates, and they saved them, whether intentionally or not. It certainly looked intentional to me. They saved them for the re-engage, just to peel for themselves and to just get some CC out so that they could shut down this Cucullin. I think that was a really smart individual play there from Cobain. Honestly, holding onto that Cupid ult just totally just flipped that fight on its head for their team. Just a bit of patience. It just completely won them that team fight, and ultimately, I think the path was already being forged essentially for them to win, but it really, took things full steam ahead by saving that ultimate and using it as late as they did. It was really clever micro play, and I appreciate seeing that actually.
Well, if there's one thing we know about wiener dogs, it's that they're elongated. If they can elongate this set by another game, perhaps they'll have the opportunity for a reverse sweep against Just Built Different.
It's possible. I think the early mid game they done really well. I think ultimately the late game comp of JBD just drafted giant circles, essentially the spaced out special. It won them the game. I do think that game was Wiener Brigade's to lose, and they did.
I say so.
Yeah, full credit to Just Built Different though. They really, I mean, that's what it's about, right? You have to capitalize on people's mistakes when you're behind and the momentum's not with you, and they did that so well. So hats off to them. But the Arena Brigade really need to take some time now and just sort of look back at what they did wrong, where they need to improve on, and what they can do to adjust. And to be honest, I think it takes a brave captain to say to his team, "Okay, we lost, but we run back the same comp." Um, I think that in this case, it's the right call. However, because they did play really well, but what they need to do is maybe look towards, if they're going to play the Cupid and the bats, you've got to look towards a different jungler. And I would be putting less effort on them trying to steal these or secure these fire giants, and perhaps look for some sustain somewhere in their comp, as we said before, and trying to drag out these team fights and just win for a poke battle. Just play the fights a little bit slower. You can't all in a team that has Humbat's ult, Cupid ult, Nike ult. It's just never going to go well for you.
I think that's a good perspective. And thinking about the broader narrative here, it would be really, a godsend for the wieners, the dash-uns to get a foot into the door, to get back up into the kind of the competitive, at least upper two-thirds of this league, and out of the cellar, alongside the Benadryl the Benadryl Babylonians. Um,
I think they've, yeah, I think we'll go to a break, for the next game. I think it was, just to summarise though, really excellent, really fun game. I don't think Weiner Brigades need to do anything too different, um, but they do need to sort of be a little bit more patient and not throw around these fire giant fights. Hopefully, we'll see some adjustments in their game coming into game two, and maybe
Absolutely.
somewhere in their draft.
Brilliant. So as we see, we're into game two, picks and bans, and immediately, they've taken away the Baba Yaga.
I got to, I got to jump in. Do you know what? If anyone's ever seen the film The Gentleman, you ever seen that film, The Gentleman? You sounded
Never seen the
just
film
like
The Gentleman.
Charlie Hunnam plays. He's an American, right? He plays the role of an English gangster. You sounded just like him for a second there.
I sounded just like an American pretending to be an Englishman. Is that what you're
You
saying to me?
did. You did.
Well,
Yeah. You
thank
go
you,
on
Morton.
YouTube after and go The Gentleman, Charlie Hunnam. You will see.
Oh, that's excellent. I
Yeah.
wow.
But moving into the bands, I guess we're here to talk Smite, so I'll talk Smite. Baba Yaga, Mercury, Cleo, yeah, fairly common. I'm not convinced that Cleo is still at the moment ban worthy though. Personally, I know she's super strong, but I just think that there's a lot more out there that's just so much more potent than Cleo. Personally, um, I will never say it's a bad first ban though, because it isn't. I just
I
don't think that I personally would ban it first. I just think there's a lot of stuff that can really ruin Cleo's life. At the moment, Cucullin is super strong, as is Nemesis, both of which just kind of bully Cleo, honestly.
I think of a good reason to ban Cludna against against the Weiner Brigade though, just simply because uh, you know, cheat card on the on objective burning, just the double ultimate from Cleodna and it's half gone already, right?
Yeah, that's
You
true.
don't want to have to deal with objective secure. Cleodna is a great way to do that.
And now we see the Baron being locked in. If you recall back to game one, something that we'd mentioned is that I'd like to see this team with more sustain, more team healing in their kit, and essentially playing for the poke battles. Baron Samdi, if played from the solo lane, I assume, although he can flex into support, will provide that. And the team heal is quite potent if, of course, if you're hitting your abilities. So I would expect
Always
these
been
team
a
fights to be a little
strong.
bit slower.
I've always been a strong proponent of Baron Samdi in the support. And against Jingwei, it just feels right, Like you get a call, ult down, beads down on the Jingwei, and what's she gonna do if you ult her?
I think
Truthfully,
I think she's going to rely on her Ymir just to wall the ultimate off, right? I mean, obviously Baron's being extremely. Whilst I do agree with your statement completely, the
Ymir's
problem,
on the table.
obviously, Ymir is on the table, and he is very strong into Baron, and whether that's Baron's support or not is yet to be seen. But it's certainly
Ymir's
an option there for counterplay.
frankly, Baron Samdi in the same vein with that Warlock staff, Baba Yaga in the first game. Perhaps it's just Big Joe picking Big Joe things in the first pick slot.
Yeah, possibly. And we see an Achilles coming in here, and in my mind, this adds even more value to a Ymir pick here. Uh, Straight away, sorry, actually, Ymir would be for the Wien Brigades. I'm kind of trolling here, excuse me. But either side could potentially pick this character up right now, and he would slot in quite nicely. Although it's not going to be for Just Built Different, because they do have a Kepri. And Nopex DO1 is playing, so we know he's got some spicy picks. We've seen the Ganesh jungle, we've seen the Chunga jungle. Although I wouldn't be surprised if he took the Kepri to the jungle, I just don't see it happening. It's too troll even for Nope, I think.
Free Jungle would be on a whole nother planet. But this is the Glaria Smite League, of course. Um, I am, I have full confidence in Mystic Megatron to pilot the Kefri jungle.
Maybe a
That
Willix
said,
lock in.
yeah, the Wheelix lock in, I have full confidence as well in Zmanian Gamer to take advantage of a Kefri jungle on the other side.
Yeah, and the Willix, I still like a Willix even in the current meta. Her clear is still excellent. She can rotate around the map extremely fast. I think now that they need to try to take this a Willix and exert some pressure and look for some early invades. I think if you're picking up the Willix and you're not looking to do that, and specifically around the duo lane because of how she plays into the Jingwei, then I think it would be a wasted pick if you didn't. So I would anticipate to see them put a lot of pressure around this duo lane, and try to get themselves a little lead off of this Willix pick.
See a consistent voice crack. I see a consistent strategy by Just Built Different in their team composition. Look at the closing speed of this. Look at that Baron Samdi, Hachiman, and a Weelix. I mean, you truly cannot run from this team comp. And in the first game, it was kind of similar. Like, Xing Shan's gonna ult you, and after that, Nemesis is gonna ult you. Like, you don't run.
You certainly don't, not from this team comp at all.
Yeah.
And it seems like now, they know that they're not going to be seeing the Cupid again. It's going to make their re-engagements a lot easier, I think. Whether they can keep up with Jinwei or not remains to be seen. I think she's going to have to be very careful with well, she's very rarely ever going to be able to use her knock-up to fly away. So I would like to see some sort of setup here for the Willix, and maybe I'm looking potentially at sort of a Vulcan in the mid lane, maybe, or maybe a support with a knock-up. We could see the Xing 10, for example, come in nice. I mean,
Oh, I would love to
potentially,
see the Xing Shan again.
yeah. I
That
mean, you
would be
can even
spicy.
get it. It would, and it looks like we're going to see an Ulla in the mid lane, and this is a pick that I have seen Big Joe on before, and he can be a bit of a demon with this Ulla. I'm being completely
Goodness.
serious. Ulla is very skill dependent, right? Like if you're a good Ulla, you're a good Ulla. You can carry a game. If you're not great on him, almost like your Mojo, you can really struggle.
I
So
love this team comp from the Weiner Brigade.
it's
The
looking
Weiner Brigade
it's looking
is
strong. It's
they're just
looking
looking
strong.
scary to me.
Yeah.
Like very, very scary. I see Hachiman, I want to run away. Uh, God help you if you're low health on Just Built Different. There's truly so much pressure being placed on Dawsey and the Kefri to hit
Yeah.
every single ultimate.
I mean,
It looks
see.
like the lobby set.
Oh no, what's happened? Run out of their timers. But
Will
the
we
one
write
thing
it
that
in? Will they write in the picks? Will this be a blind uh, lobby reset, or will this be another draft that we just have to sit through?
well, hopefully they just skip bands, right? Just pick their picks. I'd hope. But I did want to bring up the fact, one particular pick that I think is going to be really exciting to see is the Achilles pick in the hands. If it does go to tier and not, it doesn't go into the jungle. Tyr is Tyr's a bit of a monster on Achilles, and he's probably got into that previous game and thought, he kind of ran through Village Gimp in that last game, and he's probably thinking to himself, I'm going to pick Achilles and just going to absolutely steamroll through this mid lane. And I think that Achilles' matchup into Baron is really quite favourable to the Achilles, honestly. So I think he's going to be looking for extreme
It not be
pressure in the solo lane.
right. How could it not be? Truthfully, I mean, your ultimate completely counters your opponent's ultimate.
Yeah, and he
You
should
know,
just never be able to hit a hill, provided you're saving your dash. There's just not a world where the Baron should be hitting, his heel for any sort of sustain on you.
better be able to juke.
Yeah, you better be able to juke for sure.
Better be able to force a few misses on the 3, a miss on the ultimate. Stuff like that against Achilles. But I don't expect
Yeah,
Tiramataz to be missing too many of his dash resets.
I don't think we'll
Maybe the
see him
ults.
miss some. This, Baron Samedi is not really a god of any sort of form of mobility.
He's got
Unless
the
he's sort
movement
of,
speed buff.
yeah, he's
You
got
can
the movement speed
can
buff.
never discount the movement speed buff.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
We've had movement speed metas in the past. They're almost always quashed by high res instantly, and I think that's truly a flaw because I love seeing people just zooming around. Especially in the supports when we have several movement speed items.
Remember
I
the
used to play.
tier build that used to
Oh
dominate
yeah,
comp for so long? It was just all movement. It was just everything, wasn't it? It was like winged blade and
It was a
oh
lovely
gosh,
time. Yeah.
Jesus Christ, that was oppressive. I mean, it wasn't even particularly tanky. You just couldn't hit him. So annoying.
That's right, and he has the passive too, so he's not going to be stuck in one place for long enough for your team to capitalize.
I feel like one thing that Weiner Brigades are probably looking to do is I know that Joe wants to play the Ulla, and I feel like what he's done is he's got through this first game and he's thought, yeah, I'm kind of feeling myself here. I'm feeling good. I'm doing damage and blah blah blah. I feel like he was just waiting to see how he was performing game one before pulling out the Ulla. You know, if he had had a rough game in game one, I feel like he wouldn't have picked the Ulla. But now what it looks like they're doing here is they should have extreme pressure in this mid lane 3v3 with the Ulla and the Willix, and so I don't believe we got to see this pull pick yet. I mean, of course the Baron could be going to support, but I would
Me
like
pick.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, I would like to maybe see some sort of knock up here from the support to try and supplement the utility that Willix brings with her ultimate.
And
I feel like
Xingtian immediately comes to mind.
Qing Ten immediately comes to mind for me, yeah, personally.
I see I see Big Joe here on the Uller, and you're right. I think that's a me pick. I think that's Big Joe saying, listen up, wieners. I'm Big Joe, and I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna walk over this game with my Uller. I'm gonna hit the axes, and I'm gonna solo my enemy mid laner. And from that, we're gonna get gold furies. And that's, you know, getting the mid lane picks and the lead there was what gave them early leverage in the last game. Uller says, I want to reinforce that. And I think that should be the mindset that the Weiner Brigade comes into next game with. Because we can't
Yeah,
discount just how dominant they were, for the first 20 minutes.
yeah, and I think it's a good strategy to go for. It's Ulla, right? It's going to be, if I miss my axe, I'm going to retreat. If I hit my axe, well, you're dead. It's nice knowing you. And we're seeing a lot of play from him in the SPL at the moment. I think he's one of the top pick / banned gods in recent play. And he really is oppressive, and he really is a god that just wants to take fights in the mid lane almost as soon as they've got that transcendent stacked, honestly. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what they do with these picks and how they choose to play.
See if they can speed run these bans for us
Yeah,
the second time through.
did we see a
King
King Arthur
Arthur.
ban last time?
Did we?
I don't
I'm
recall.
not sure I recall either. I hope that wasn't something that.
But Tyr wanted to play.
Yeah,
Like the Achilles is going to the jungle. He's like, bro, I wanted to
unfortunate.
play King Arthur. Now we got to sit here and talk again for another 5 minutes while they set up a new lobby.
We'll have to see if that's going to count against them in their second phase bans. If they're going to have to ban, who they banned the first time.
Yeah. Last
Suki
time their
overtook both
second
of one.
phase bans was Suki and Oleron for the side of Weiner Brigades. I
Gotcha.
kind of like this. The Oleron pick I do like though. I feel like Oleron's is actually seeing a fair amount of play in the SPL at the moment, and he's good. He's decent into Ulla. Like if you can get to the Ulla and pop your ultimate, you could just blow him up. Really, it's a really tough matchup. But also just that late game level
Geb would
20
be.
scaling.
Think about how awesome Geb would be for them. It's so that's a really crucial ban. Geb
Yeah,
would run this game. I feel.
Geb. I think Geb pops off. Yeah, for sure. I do feel like it could negatively impact their 3v3 fight in the early / mid game for the Wien Brigade if they're looking to draft and play high pressure and look to fight through this mid lane. Then Geb, he takes a lot longer to come online than some of the other supports. So I feel like it could be. I feel like Geb goes hard. You get him to level 20, he goes hard. And when we see the Kumba, I think that's probably even more big brain. Honestly, I like that. If you hit a Kumba Mez, and he's probably going to be leveling it up first with the intention. I would like to check on that though, as we sort of get to like level 8, level 9. I feel like Brex is going to be leveling up the Mez here first, and the reason I think so is because, first of all, you're guaranteeing a knock up from the Willix if they're in position and they don't beat it, but you're guaranteeing a full 3-1 combo from the Ulla just with every Mez. So I think this is kind of a huge brain play here. Not to mention, if Kumba can ult the Kepri prior to them getting a res target on, or even ult the person that has been resed, buy some time when they land back down. You can wait for that Ulla free, the arrow storm or whatever it's called, to land and finish off the target.
Thor feels like a crafty way to, we said, oh, maybe they'll pick Ymir. Thor has got, kind of the same thing. And in team fights, he'll be positioned in a way so that his wall can work. It's a similar utility.
I don't like the JBD draft here. I just feel like, first of all, Poseidon, do you try and crack in the Willix with, if she's going to flip it, right? Use the immunity flames and flip the Kraken potentially. The 4, channeled ability into Kumba Mez. Even a dash to some extent is essentially a channeled ability. You have to throw it and wait for it to reach an optimal range to teleport to it when you're trying to escape. I'm not really feeling their draft personally. I'm not a fan. I don't like it. I think they should have stuck with big circles like the last game, typical Xbox fashion. I am really liking the Weiner Brigade draft though. On the other hand,
I like their odds to equalize, and I like their odds to, as I said earlier, Morton, to elongate this game in typical wiener dog fashion. They're close to the floor right now. You can say their body is close to the ground, and maybe they're standing on short legs, but they shouldn't let that discourage them, because I like their comp a little bit better, and I think that they're gonna stretch this game out just as wiener dog breeders have done for centuries.
it was beautiful. I couldn't put it any better myself. So the one thing that I think that the JBD's draft does have going for it, although I will put it out there that I don't like this draft personally, the 4 walls will come in handy for walling off the coffin and preventing the Hachiman from riding away. But that's really about as much value as I think that the 4 pick's going to get. Willix can essentially immunity frame everything. You can feather step the Kraken, the 4, all of 4's damage pretty much, and to some extent, I'm sure she can even use it to evade an Achilles ultimate if timed right. So I'm not a fan. I don't like it, honestly.
We see a few, 1 or 2 Awelix, Kraken feather steps, or even maybe like a Caffrey grab feather step. Zmanian Gamer, well, he's going to be making a case for team of the week. That would be quite impressive.
Yeah,
looks like we're about to load in. It's Weiner Brigade and Just Built Different. This is round 2 of what has the potential to be a 3-round clash. It's just another opportunity for Just Built Different to solidify themselves within the top half of the league, and for the Weiner Brigade to finally get their foot in the door, finally get something to build on towards the second half of this season. I'm ready to go.
I am ready to go too, and it's going to be an interesting game for sure. I feel like this could go to 3 games personally, based off the drafts.
Certainly love it too. Oh my goodness, and it's just a prime evening for Glaria Smite action. Love these players. It's just a pleasure. Big Joe, on the Uller, I think he's gonna have the potential to run this game. I think Nope XD01 is, you know, a little bit in danger on the Poseidon, and I think Kefri can only do so much to keep him safe.
Yeah, I
I
think
see
it's a rough one. And going,
passivity.
yeah, you mentioned about Big Joe and Nope, and what I wanted to ask you is where are the win conditions in your eyes for each team? Who or
Well,
what?
I have to say, of course, Uller getting in his zone, right? If Big Joe can just hit a few axes, get a few kills, do Big Joe things, and maybe, stack, build stacks safely, I think Weiner Brigade will be posturing themselves really well. I think Owelix is another one. And on the other side, I think Jing Wei has potential to be so scary. Jing, known to be slippery, that's like the main utility she provides, right? They don't kill her. Especially paired with a Caffrey, such a safe lane selection. If Jing Wei is able to, you know, start, late game split pushing or just getting more farmed than anyone else on the map, and that's what she does best. I'd say Cabane is, you know, after last game's performance, of course, in a position to dominate.
Yeah, and I do agree. For me personally, I think the win con for the side of JBD is going to be again too traumatized on this Achilles, just really putting heavy pressure through the solo lane, maybe looking for a few solo kills, shutting down this Baron before he can get online. Issue with Baron is if you don't get to level 20, you don't get that Bumba's hammer. Is I wouldn't say he's worthless, but almost. It's really really rough for him if he doesn't get to level 20. Equally, if he is behind. And I think likewise, Cabane on the Jin Wei, we saw how much he popped off in the last game, and yeah, if he has a good performance again, he very well has the potential to run this game. I just think it's going to be tough into this team comp. You could just, I'm just sitting here picturing how this mid lane goes the whole game. It should literally just be Kumbhakana dashes in, Mez is the Poseidon or Nope, and you just see a 3-1 combo from the Ulla, just constantly all game is how I see that going, and it should. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, we're running into some technical difficulties, unfortunately, on observer side. Should we give our audience a bit of time to stoke in the.
I
This
think
is most unfortunate.
we just give it a little bit of time because we don't know whether the game has actually loaded in or not. So we can give it a little bit of time, I suppose.
Yeah,
But,
is most unfortunate.
so what do you think of this Suki ban anyway? Do you think that's warranted, or do you think that's just something they wanted to get out of the way of, just as a potential counter pick to any of their picks? Because it's not something that I see banned really, or even picked, and it makes me wonder if they've banned it because of its. So he could potentially go to the solo lane, right? And I think that Suki is better in the solo lane than he is jungle at the moment, and I feel like his matchup into
Nice against the
Baron.
Wheelix, I guess. There's it's a solid matchup into a
Mm,
Wheelix, but I don't see uh, much other utility that it provides. I just imagine ulting right into a Kumbhakarna and a Baron Samdi and an Uller and thinking, oh, this is not a good time for Tsukiyomi. I'm not sure
yeah,
that it would have been a really prized pick either for Just Built Different.
yeah, I'm not sure either. I feel like it's too much counterplay there for a Suki to have any effectiveness.
Perhaps. We're restarting. We're restarting our stream, or not our Twitch stream, rather our connection to the players.
Yes, indeed. Otherwise speaking here, the client just doesn't tell me if the game starts or not. We've been stuck in the lobby screen for like maybe 2 to 3 4 to 5 to 6 minutes now. So Hi-Res doesn't tell me that the game crashed, so I have to restart. But I just a guess. I'm trying to reach the players, but it's just a guess that my client crashed. So giving the mic back to the casters.
It's good to know.
Mm.
So, bit of an off-topic conversation, then I suppose. Whilst we just wait for this to load back in, I want to
Sure,
know
this little speed bump.
yeah, this is an unrelated question to Smite, but maybe it's we'll get to see what the great viewers of GSL's opinions are. I want to know what are the, I don't know, 2 or 3 greatest films of all time in your opinion are.
Well, the 2 or 3 greatest feelings of all time.
No, films, movies.
Films. Oh, I was
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 greatest feelings of all time.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
wow, that's a really deep question to ask,
Like,
Morton.
yeah, it's not a support
2 or
group,
3
mate.
greatest films of all time.
Yeah.
See, I've got to say, my number one is Surf's Up. You guys are familiar? Are you familiar with Surf's Up?
No, not at all, mate.
It's
Not at
it's
all.
an animated. We gotta find what studio created Surf's Up. It's a great film. Surfing Means Everything. The teenage penguin Cody Maverick, Shia LaBeouf.
Oh,
Followed
that sounds
by
awful.
a documentary film crew. He leaves his home in Antarctica for Pengu Island, which is Hawaii, site of the Big Z Memorial Surf-Off. Cody wants to be respected and admired, and he believes that winning the competition will bring him what he craves. However, an encounter with washed-up surfer geek Jeff Bridges teaches Cody about what is truly important. It's
Well, that
a
sounds awful.
2007 film. It's amazing, and it's filmed kind of in the style of those old-fashioned surfing documentaries, you know, of like the 90s in
So,
Hawaii. It's awesome. It's a beautiful vibe for a movie.
not to say that your choice in films is terrible, but your choice in films are terrible, and anything other than The Shawshank Redemption or Green Mile or anything like that is the wrong answer, unfortunately. So not my cup of tea at all, mate. But I am curious to know what
I
all
like
the
Surf's Up.
fair play,
It's a good
mate.
one.
To each their own. So let's get into the game now. Finally, Jesus, it was
This is
a long
great.
wait. Yeah, gonna
It
take a
looks
look
like
at.
the Galeria Smite fans are finally getting what they've always dreamt of, which is a working spectator client.
And as
We've
we
loaded
he-
in. There's 10 seconds left on the, in pregame clock, and the players are fanning out once again across the map.
and
We've got a
heading in.
one game lead for Just Built Different. The Weiner Brigade, well, this is their opportunity to turn things around for their season. It could all start now.
Yeah, and I think it should be based off of the drafts alone. I've said this 1,000 times, so to avoid sounding like a broken record, I'll move on from it. But I absolutely expect them to take this game based off of their comp, and I don't see anything weird coming out of people's builds, anything like that. So yeah, as expected, it's a Baron to the solo lane. I think it's gonna be a rough matchup for him, honestly, into the Achilles, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. Looking like a simple setup right now. Kefri under a little bit of aggression, but he's not really under any threat yet. And now the both duo lanes hitting level 2. It's just a, you know, not much to talk about. Not much to talk about yet.
Yeah, it just seems like
Oh,
Dorsey just
big
got caught out of
Hachiman
position.
stun. Dazi, I believe he has the dash. So not in any true danger once again. And he'll sustain up. What do you make of this duo lane matchup? Like, besides the overwhelming safety of Capricing Way. Do you think that the Wiener Brigade really has much opportunity to try and invade purple? They did the first game.
I think they should do, yeah. I think the pressure from their comp, I feel like they should do, and I feel like the fact that they do have the Willix on their side just inherently comes with potential to invade anyway, just based off of the pick.
Right.
So I would be expecting them to look for invades 100%. I feel like they need to leverage the pressure that a Willix brings and her early kill potential, and be looking to put pressure onto these buffs. You could go the other way though and potentially look to put pressure onto the enemy blue buff to try and help out their solo laner who is in a rough matchup. Not sure what they'll go for though. Or
Baron
they could
Sam the
just
under tower, as expected, but he's gonna get help with his blue buffs, and he'll be fine at least for the time being.
yeah, and a Willix is going to need to have to be on time for those blue buffs, I think, because they will get stolen away from him if she's not there on time.
Yeah,
Tier's going to want that.
it gives you know, there's a little bit of jungle asymmetry though already. You know, Thor helping Poseidon get his red buff a little bit before Uller, a little bit before Joe, and then on the other side, right, because Poseidon needed help for just about different. Baron needs some help too, and his jungler is gonna help him get his buff. It looks like once again the Wiener Brigade, yeah, they have kind of an early game dominant team comp, but they're content to sit back on this and wait for the gold period. And that's kind of how they were in the first game as well. The Nemesis wasn't overly aggressive.
Yeah, I feel like you can do that with Nemesis. If you want to just get to level 20, that's absolutely fine. The Willix, on the other hand, will drop off significantly the longer the game goes on. And so I feel like you really have to be putting a lot of early pressure around the map with the Willix, making sure you have to be getting these mid-neutrals on cooldown if you're the Wiener Brigade here, for example. Even if you're not going to like invade and stuff, just making sure that you get both mid-neutrals consistently as they cool down, respawn, is kind of key. Thor's ticking over to level 5 here. I anticipate to see him
Yeah.
try to make a play of his own.
Awelix is
Honestly,
looking to gank on the left side. We'll see if it gets warded out. She has ult. Hits
that's
it
good.
and
That's,
takes down the bead. That's a good
that's
timer.
fine.
Yeah.
That's a good win, and it's glad. Yeah, you get that win, and you immediately leave. And that's a nice clean gank there.
She'll
I know they
have her
didn't.
ultimate. She'll have her ultimate for the next time. It's a solid investment of your time as an Awelix to get a crucial relic.
I do wonder how much value you can really get though out of ganking this lane, because until
so
your
safe.
ADC, until the ADC has crit online and can effectively four shot her
Two
with
shots.
autos,
Right.
you're just never really going to kill her, because okay, you got your bead, so we'll come back, but now you pull her in and she ults away, and your ADC still, until I don't know, level 14, 15 or so, your ADC is just going to be hitting for like 60. So
It's in the sky. I've been looking forward to this. It looks like he's going on the Awelix. No feather step available. Oh, and the double tap just isn't doing a lot of damage. It's not swinging for very much at 5 minutes. But I'm looking forward to seeing more of those Thor ultimates. They're so exciting from the perspective of a caster. To see him go up in the air, where will he land? No one knows. Poseidon getting engaged on by the Ulu. We've been looking forward to this.
there's
And
no
he's
respect
supposed to
there.
back him up. Oh, everyone's chasing him. It's a wild goose chase. They finish him off, and there's really no response. But how could there be? Just an overextension by Nope XD.
Yeah, that's
You're playing
really
against a
poor.
team that you gotta know that. You gotta see that coming.
You can't just walk up like that and take a solo red buff like that. That's just never going to be allowed. That's
Yeah.
nigh on criminal, in my opinion. He's going to lose almost. Actually, shouldn't lose too much off of his wave, but that's you just can't
Nope
do that.
XD, perhaps reaping a foreseeable consequence of his own actions.
Nope XD, more like Nope XP.
Yeah, because
Didn't.
his supports saved the wave for him. It's a big one. Um,
Yeah.
and truthfully, his team is slowly building a golden XP lead of their own. You know, it's
Yeah,
actually ironic that you said that because we're looking at the XP per minute chart on the bottom left-hand corner, and it looks like he's not longing for XP.
it looks like he's
Contrarily,
doing all right.
well, he might lose some now. That's a important beads.
Ulla's already pumping out serious damage.
If I'm Dawsy, if I'm the support, I've got to be telling my mid laner, hey, maybe don't path that way in the future. Traumatized, we have a solo. He's alleviating a bit of pressure on his lane opponent, but it's nice to know that he's there.
Yeah, it's something that Tyr does often do a lot. He will take his lead. It's actually part of the reason what does make him scary as a solo laner is that he will turn up in the mid lane at the most unexpected of times. Like you could be there at level 4 and you're taking a fight and it's like, wow, there's solo laners here. And that's something that Tyr does that no one else really in the league does. And it is part of the reason as to why he can be so scary. But if the enemy team are aware, the Weiner Brigades are aware of what's going on, they've got wards, they've got calls, all that rotation's really going to do is allow Baron the chance to just safe farm and get back into the game. When I think he should just be, at the moment, continuing to put his pressure on the mage that's playing in the solo lane.
He's low on mana. Zamian, there's a little bit of a wellness check here. I don't think she has the means to get that kill yet. But just built different, keeping their eye on Zamian. Always posing a existential threat, truth be told, to Cabane on the Jingwei. And I've identified him as their win condition. So they should be concerned, making sure that Jingwei is going to not die from a rotation. Thor's ulted into mid. Oh, he wasted his hammer a little bit early. The CC's there, but no follow-up. And Poseidon doesn't have his ultimate. I think he just used it too. Jingwei is actually winning the 1v1 duel. Doesn't hit the stun, and the ults just don't connect. An exciting fight on the left-hand side, but ultimately fruitless for both parties. Oh, Baron Zombie, he hits the ultimate! Oh, traumatized!
Really nice.
He's playing so good and hasn't had the stat line to back it up.
That's a really nice gank there.
Like that. Great collapse. Great collapse.
And honestly, I think it's something that they really needed to do. This Baron's going to need help in that lane. If you're struggling and you're not able to just stall out the lane, and you really do need that rotation. So that's come at almost a perfect time for the Baron, honestly. Really nice gank there from Zamian Gamer. Really, really nice.
And it looks like the Weiner Brigade has fully charged their obelisk. That's going to be... And the Fire Giants arrive. That's so much going on in the world of Smite.
But I do guess we're probably not going to see any 10-minute Fire Giants, although that would be quite a spectacle, honestly.
It's just not time. Just not time for that. The Fire Giant, as he does so often, arrives just a little too soon for the teams to be ready to contest.
Just even before this patch, me personally, the earliest I've ever got Fire Giant was like 11.5 minutes. So before this patch, there's just no way that you can do it.
That's so. I used to play with this guy, Mace to the Face. He was on old Denial roster, actually, from like season 2. And Buzzio, who was a sub for that old Denial team. And we used to try and do 10-minute, we'd play like ranked. And we'd get like Isis. We'd get like Isis and I don't remember who the other dominant Fire Giant Burn God was at the time, but we would just, at 10 minutes, oh, Anubis. Yeah, we'd play Anubis
that's
and rank. And we'd get the 10-minute Fire Giants on cooldown, and it was so beautiful. We could do it maybe, half of our ranked games. Just such a sight to behold, And as someone who's played against them on the opposite team, just sniping each other, it can be, quite deflating to see the Fire Giant go down uncontested. 10 minutes in the game, a whiffed Kraken. We're not going to talk about that. Wheeler might still pay for it. Oh, and what a
huge ultimate.
Unfortunate mez. Traumatized. Oh,
Oh,
he
he's
hits the
missed.
ultimate Vegas! And he's gonna pay for it. Oh, Kefri, good old, gets his teammate out. It was most necessary, and it ends up just being a 1-for-0. Big Joe takes a spill, his first of the game. Wow.
Did he get?
Nope,
Did
XD's got to be feeling good.
did the ultimate get blocked by four wall there?
I
It
can't
looked to
tell if it
me
got blocked by Thorwall or if it got immune.
he has no Aegis.
He has no Aegis. It did get blocked
And he got
by...
stunned in place by, I believe, the four wall. I'm pretty sure the Achilles
That's
ult
so
got blocked
impressive.
by the four wall there, which, by the way, they're on the same team, so not quite as impressive. If they were on the
Oh my
opposite
goodness.
team, I'd say, okay, make this man a support now, but I'm pretty
Mystic
sure.
Megatron with the blunder of the team fight.
I'm pretty sure, yeah, we might have to clip it and watch it back, but I'm pretty sure he blocked his own team off there with the execute, which is kind of unfortunate, honestly.
Let's in
Kind
the
of troll.
smoke. There's a bit of... You see plenty.
But what we're seeing
Another-
now is a 2-level lead to the Poseidon, which is really...
Nope, XD. It's another whiff crack and not punished.
Yeah, he's been off the mark with those.
He's
But
been
an Ulla
doing
from
pretty well
behind.
in other ways. By no means has Nope XD been, you know, underperforming. He's got the best farm outlook. Teleport coming out from the village Gimp. And now he's actually got a slight lead on Tyramatized. He'd like to look for something with his jungler, but unfortunately he doesn't know, or maybe he does because they have some deep wards on the right side. But Dawsey and Mystic Megatron are clearing out jungle, and they'll be rushing to their solo laner's aid as well. They take a look at the Fire Giant, or rather the Pyromancer. Brex wants to defend, and it's half health, so he probably can. Just pushes him off, tells him no, it's a little too early for that.
Curious to see what Brex's leveling order is. I want to see if he has. Yeah, he has, as predicted,
He
he
has
has
been
gone
leveling
for
the
the
Mez.
Mez.
Yeah.
But we haven't been seeing too much in the way of synergy between him and the Ulla. He really needs to just be mezzing him on cooldown and just getting a full Ulla combo off on the. It's enough to send him back to base, right? And that's enough
I think
time
he
to
needs
go and
Blink.
steal away from a Pyromancer. I think he needs Blink as well.
Yeah.
Realistically, you know, as I was saying, you could just dash in or blink in and mez the Poseidon with 1-3-1 combo from the Ulla. The Poseidon's
It's a
back to
Gebel.
base. Yeah.
It's a Gebel. It's better than a Gebel. Maybe that's an overstatement. Doesn't take a quarter of their health as true damage. But think about what it does do, because even if you cancel, even if they cancel that mesmerize, there's still a slow for several seconds. It's like a 4-second slow or something, and an attack speed slow. And an attack speed slow on Poseidon using Weiner, that's really good. That's not a really good Kraken. Big Joe
We're just not
doesn't
seeing.
use the mez. There's no chemistry.
I don't know what's going on here. Like that's the Brex is doing the right thing here by mezzing him and setting up the damage. Big
Right.
Joe's not capitalising on it. It's incredibly strange.
They'll clean up
Very
the kill
strange.
anyway on Nope XD.
That's a really good
Kefri,
kill. They needed that so bad.
yeah. Kefri caught a little bit out of position. He's just farming and left with his ADC when there's no one there. A little unfortunate. Notable, no objective play, and we're 15 minutes in. At this time last game, there was a little bit more action going on there. Wow, just that 3-level deficit between the Obelix and the Thor. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crucial.
That
You
is
have to
huge.
play around that. If you're the Weiner Brigade and you're looking at, you know, the top 3 in the net worth chart, all being the just built different carries, you have to think, yeah, we've got to capitalize on this jungle.
Yeah, I feel like what they should be doing at this point is essentially fast clearing the mid wave, because Ulla's getting to the point now where he'll just one-shot the wave, right? And I feel like what Petri maybe what Kumba needs to do now is to sort of allow Ulla to get a little bit more solo farm and to leave once the mid neutrals are up and just roam around the jungle with the Willix looking to try and pick off this 4. Because at this point in the game, they can even just force his ultimate. If you get the ward on the back camps, right, and just force his ultimate, or the Willix with such a lead at the moment can just one-shot him. So I feel like they should try and funnel more farm towards Big Joe, but use the support to pair with their fed jungler and try to make plays deep in the enemy jungle.
You know, at this stage of the game, traumatized is, well, for lack of a better word, he's looking to traumatize the village gimp, because you know, as his mana dwindles, there's kill potential in the right lane. There's kill potential in solo for Achilles, and there will continue to be. We've kind of reached the point where Baron Samdi, he's not unkillable, and if you leave him alone, we might see a death pop up in the middle of the screen that could signal Just Built Different to aggress elsewhere on the map, right, with the advantage of a solo kill.
Yeah, and I think at this stage of the game, though, if you're getting solo killed now, as the Baron, you've got 3 items online now. You're really only doing it through misplays of your own. I don't expect to see the solo kills, but you are right. There is I mean, it's an Achilles into a mage. There is every opportunity of a solo kill here, especially when you've got the 4 ulting in, like it looks like he's maybe about to.
Puma's in left. Jingwei, well, she has every resource available to her, and it's going to be enough to keep her out of danger for now. The team is here, Just Built Different, XD01 kind of dancing around. Hachiman burned his ultimate, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, his
Fruitless
fight's not really
attempt
going anywhere.
to turn the tables. Looking at the Gold Fury now, this objective is going to come into play.
Yeah, and just a small point to make, really. The 4 rotated over, and I feel like he should have just left, just forced the minion wave on the tower and really punished Joe. Like, Joe's already 2 levels down, he's rotating into left there, and 4 could have just forced the entire wave under his tower there. I think it's a missed opportunity. Achilles in trouble, though. Like,
Well, he's not really in any danger, though. Is he killable at this stage of the game? Certainly not when he has his ult up.
Achilles kind of huge.
They have to body block it. Oh, and he just barely gets out. The Kefri ult hits. And Kefri has fled the battlefield. Really good peel, actually. Dazzy's making kind of a play. And now that now that the whole team's here, they look to turn the tables. We hope to see Dazzy not have to pay for his excellent peel earlier in the engagement. This is turning into a full confrontation. This is turning into a confrontation. Oh my goodness. And Dazzy, he's gonna pay. They're gonna get that kill. As he falls, this, what was a skirmish, is turning into a whole war. A great one, perhaps. Mystic Megatron gets a return kill on Damien Gamer, and that's more valuable. Big Joe. Oh, and that's a big ult! Big ult from Village Gimp is gonna save Big Joe. It's gonna save his mid laner. Megatron needs the Aegis. Traumatized is going to die from getting secondhand rooted by Megatron.
No.
Weiner Brigade. What is going on?
What was that?
I know what that was. That was Village Gimp saving his mid laner and just absolutely turning it on to Traumatized. That's just an awesome solo play.
Such a strange fight. I feel like the Achilles got caught out of position. They rotated in and collapsed on him. Kepri comes in with an insane ultimate, saving his life. Tyr has the foresight to run under tower to force the resurrection. By which time Kepri's miles away, so now they're safe. I feel like they just leave the fight at this point, and that should have just been Weiner Brigade steamrolling towards Pyromancer. Honestly, but it's a strange elongated fight. Weiner Brigade coming out on top. Yeah, odd. Really strange fight. Really entertaining.
I know, but there's been a lot of dancing around with low health bars. And I really love to see that, you know? It's just every fight, you don't know which way it's going to go. There could be a crazy swing in Weiner Brigade's favor, that, you know, or in Just Both Different's favor that just totally, you know, blows the
Dead
game
Big
open.
Joe.
What an ult! Big Joe doesn't have the beads available. He did have Aegis, and he uses it to keep himself alive for the time being. He's going to escape, but Just Built Different, I don't see a world where they don't get this Gold Fury off of that back. They're
Yeah,
going to
and I
pick it
don't
up.
think that they even know. Oh, yes, they do.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they know, but what can they do? They're mid laners in Fountain. Megatron's got a good zone going on. Just Built Different, they secure the objective despite the Hachiman being within range to contest. Now, Tiramatize, he's kind of all alone. He was pushing at their tower line. It looks like they're going to back off. Perhaps Weiner Brigade thinks that they can get some counterplay on the right side. They would like to get this Pyromancer.
Was he's looking for the steal though?
And now
Hiding
it's
down the wall.
now look, we have the opposite thing going on. Poseidon's at base. They're gonna get this Pyromancer for free. They finish it. And now the front line wants to punish, but what are you gonna do against Tyr? Tyr is just, you know, oh my goodness, he's pummeling his now former lane opponent.
Really early coffin
We
there as well
separate
from
again.
Baron.
22 minutes in, we really need to see the ADCs get engaged in this game because they're level 20, and you know, what are they doing on the left side of the map while their teams are fighting? We could see Jing Wei flying from base and pressing that passive advantage.
Yeah,
We
that's the
could
thing
see,
is she can
yeah,
be at these fights so fast. You only have to back and fly in. You can be there so fast. It is strange to me that at almost 24 minutes into the game, we haven't really seen him rotate once.
I get the sense that one of these ADC players is playing a little bit reactionary, you know? Like, you know, one of them, sometimes you see your lane opponent and you get in your head about it a little bit, you know? And you just want to fight your lane opponent. And sometimes, you know, you're playing the fool because your lane opponent truthfully doesn't want you to press, you know, maybe the slight advantage you have. Oh, Poseidon. Oh, Zamian Gamer, he's just gonna escape. That's a
It's a big
really good.
ultimate off the table.
Yeah, I mean that's a big beads too, but he's still gonna get punished by a Tyramatized. Oh, and this fight's coming together in mid. No XD. Oh, but the beads aren't gonna do anything. Dawes, you have to get in the way of that. No XD, both relics gone. There's no follow-up. And Thor's in the sky. Thor landing on Big Joe. That's a huge Thor roll. Oh my goodness, he beads and gets out. Jing Wei, what can she do? Everyone is so low to traumatize now. And the heals are just enough to keep Village Gimp alive. But he, you know, not ultimately he's going to fall. Can they keep pushing this mid tower? The only one who's really low was Thor. It looks like they're going to try and get this Fire Giant. And I think, you know, this is free. Surely.
This is free. It is free, yeah, and it's just really strange. The Weiner Brigade are just putting so much effort into trying to kill this Achilles, and they don't even have any anti-heal. It's really strange. They're putting so much effort into him that basically Just Built Different are just free casting at him. Like, I mean, Jing Wei there was essentially frontlining on the tower line and doing big damage. They need to. If they're going to fight this Achilles, you need to get some anti-heal online for a start. Really, really questionable decision. I don't think they should be losing this game with the draft that they have, but they are.
Sizable lead now for Just Built Different. And it's late in
Yeah.
the game. The gold's going to matter a little bit less by the time they're really sieging Phoenixes. However, you know, it's Weiner Brigade. They're falling into some of their old habits. And you hate to see that, especially when we were really looking forward for, you know, Big Joe to come online. I haven't seen it yet. He hasn't been making those, you know, kind of like solo mid lane jungle plays.
No, he hasn't. We did just see him miss an Ulla free off of an Ulla axe, so I don't know if you caught that, but he hid around the corner, hit the axe, and missed the freeze.
You know, it happens.
You never want to see that.
What input are these players using? What is Big Joe using? Oh my goodness, Big Joe just takes a spill. He gets cast or cursed, and Thor jumping up into the air. He's going to land on a couple at least. Oh, they're just chasing him down. Tyramatize isn't able to finish that kill, but he is able to cancel Village Gimp's ultimate. And the sustain from the 2 is going to keep Gimp alive. The left Phoenix falls. And they're just going to go straight to middle lane, I believe. Unless they can get another kill and end the game. Oh, Joseph. Big
Yeah.
Joseph. There was no opportunity. He had, unfortunately, you're just a tiny bit out of position. And really minuscule mistake for the, sometimes in the Galeria Smite League, these players are dancing on a razor's edge. It truly feels like that.
It's one of the things that I've actually seen from Joe is that he does have the tendency when he's behind, he's trying to force plays as a mid laner. He did it against, I believe it was the Babylonians, and he played Scylla, and I mean, granted to him, he went unpunished through it that game, totally unpunished. Oh, excuse me, I think it was either Benadryl Babylonians or the Idris, one of the two, I can't quite remember. But he was making plays, playing on this frontline role as a mage, but it's never a good idea. Just because you didn't get punished for it one game doesn't mean it was the right call.
It looks
He
like they're
tried
gonna
it
trade
there.
tier 2 towers.
Yeah.
This Trebuchet is got a mind of its own, and just built different. You fault them for just not caring. They're gonna return to base and reset.
Yeah, I feel like they
So the
could have got
Trebuchet,
Pyromancer at least.
it can't actually do anything so long as they're minions in its radius.
Yeah,
It's been
once the
disarmed.
minions are dead, it won't fire. That's right.
That was a good fight. Sometimes the most exciting fights in Smite are the ones waged entirely by artificial intelligence.
But what that has actually done is stacked up kind of a huge wave on the right hand side there. So maybe they look to push with it if they've recognised it. It looked, well, maybe they've died now, but it looked like they had a big fat wave on that right hand side.
Jingwei's building Devo gauntlets and can't out sustain the Oni Fury. Is that a game bug?
Devo got nerfed. Devo is kind of trash now, honestly.
Yeah, there was a time when ADCs and objectives just sort of didn't matter to them. They could tank objectives indefinitely. Even the Fire Giant at one point when Death's Toll upgraded was the meta.
Yeah, Devo's is just, I just don't really think it's the one anymore. You're seeing a lot of different starts. No one's really solidified a meta, I don't think, at the moment for current ADC builds, but Devo's got hit
meta.
really hard. Really, really hard. And a lot of people, honestly, I've seen a lot of people going, as Lagosaurus has done, cow into dominance into Atalantas, but I'm also seeing people go into different builds where they'll go for a Bloodforge instead. Has its ups and downs. Bloodforge is a really strong item. It's high power, movement speed, the shield on kills, good life still, but it's very expensive. So it's
This
a bit
is
of a...
going to be an enhanced Fire Giant. That's got to sink in for the Weiner Brigade. They're in the position that they were last game. Just Built Different is poised for a, executing blow. And Weiner Brigade, they're probably going to lose their left-hand Phoenix again. Oh, Brex caught out of position. He might take a tumble here. I think he's just unquestionably dead. Traumatized. They want to get the counterplay on tier, but it's just not happening. Megatron goes up into the air, and now they're all going to fall. What a Thor wall, by the way.
That was a
What
huge...
a Thor wall. Village Gimp.
Yeah, I think
he takes a spill. Big Joe. He's not going to take a spill.
They could just run it down.
Is. Good blink. It's over. It's all over.
Yeah, they got
It is
yeah.
all over, and Just Built Different. They're gonna have to wait another week. Weiner Brigade, Weiner Brigade is going to have to wait another week. Just Built Different. Well, they're making a strong case for playoff contention.
Yeah, now
it's only a matter of time. They're going to take down the middle Phoenix. Campaign is going to farm Lagosaurus to the mountain. Maybe he should count a little bit of player damage as well. Oh my goodness, what happened to Canadian? Well, it's the same thing that happened to all the Wieners. They were crushed under the foot today of Just Built Different.
Yeah,
superior
first game
team
was a lot closer
sweeping.
as well, right? Second game, kind of a stomp, honestly, all the way through. Wasn't particularly close at any point in that second game.
They've been having a rough season, haven't they?
Yeah, they have, and they do look better each time they come out. But the second game, they picked. I feel like they drafted a lot better, honestly. But I suppose the picks that they're playing are a lot more individually, like skill dependent. I suppose with the Ulla and the Willix, and yeah, I just feel like one thing that we spoke of was the synergy between a Makana and Ulla in the mid lane. You're leveling up your Mez for one reason only, and it's just to Mez the enemy mid laner and just hit combos consistently off of the Ulla. And I don't think I saw him do it once. So yeah, I mean that's what's going to happen, I suppose. That was their condition to win the mid lane and have infinite pressure. They just didn't do it, not once. I think it's a poor decision.
You know what impressed me the most in that game was Cabane just totally, basically doing the same things he was doing last game on the Cupid. You know, really, really impressive to see him just come out and have a similarly dominating performance. I hope to see more of it, in the future.
Oh,
What impressed you the most in that last game, especially on, just a different side?
uh, yeah, so obviously we had Cobain showing everyone why Jingwei is to be banned pretty much every game, right? We saw at the end there knock up into a double slash triple auto with a stim, just deleting people left, right, and center. But in terms of what impressed me is individual skill. I suppose Tier's performance in the solo lane. Tier really, really put on a show. He made a lot of effective rotations, picked up kills for it in the mid lane, and I think the momentum of the game really shifted even further so into their favour once he started doing that. Tier had a extremely standout performance for me in that set, honestly.
Me, it was Tier that shined as well, although not in the way that I expected. I had expected him to actually bully, Village. What's this guy's name?
Village Gimp.
Village Gimp in a way that, Village Gimp actually held out for much longer than I expected him to comfortably. However, in the late game team fights, it was Tier that was getting all their attention. He was just being a stud, and doing Achilles things. It was truly, had me reminiscing on the World Finals days of Scary D, Ronnie Belair in the Smite Pro League. So I'm sure he would be happy to be compared to the great Scary D.
Scary D can't slam in full damage Odin mid lane though and pump out 40k damage. So
Of
some
course not.
might argue that it's an insult, honestly. But he played really well. And if you're gonna put all your attention into focusing down in Achilles in a team fight, you're gonna need some anti heal. They didn't really buy any, so yeah, they put a lot of effort into trying to shut him down. Couldn't blow him up quick enough, and just let the carries on Just Built Different just essentially free cast consistently for every fight.
What an exciting set of Smite. A little bit underwhelming just at the end. You'd always like to see the Wieners equalize and send us to a game three, but in game one, they really did show that they can be competitive with these middle of the pack teams. We'll just have to see them, develop throughout the course of the rest of the season.
Yeah, and I think specifically, I mean, Just Built Different. They've come a long way since the start of the season. I mean, as to have the Wiener Brigades, but to take away from this game, I feel like the Wiener Brigades need to, they just need to get into scrims more, I think, and just practice their sieges around the fire giants. And
Yeah,
also, if you're going to play,
coordination.
yeah, if you're going to play certain picks if you're going to play these picks that are really, like your typical, you got Kumba and Ulla, you got like Medusa and Athena, you've got Bacchus Ulla. These types of picks where they synergize with each other's kit so well, where you get a confirmed combo from the god that you're using. You really need to. I mean, I personally don't even think it takes scrimming to do that, but clearly it's something they need to work on. They need to go back, get to the drawing board, and I suppose identify their mistakes and work on them.
Side of, on the side of just built different, it's good to see a team's hard work pay off. And maybe they came in this game with the upper hand. Maybe they were expected to win, but in that second game, they truly showed, why they came in with those expectations. They executed pretty smoothly a composition to its strengths, and you have to credit them for that, even if it was in light of some of the Wiener Brigade's shortcomings on, objective secure. Maybe there was some sloppiness there, but overall, a well played game, I think, and a well played set by Just Built Different.
Did we bring someone in to chat?
Yeah, yeah. Are we gonna get any of these guys in here for a post game interview? I know I have some questions for the players of Just Built Different.
Yeah, let's do it. Should we see who's available? I will. I'm gonna get. Yeah, I want to get Tier. Let's get Tier in it. Tier, jump into a chat if you're there, mate.
Oh
Drag you in.
well, traumatized. You sure had an excellent second game.
Listen, mate. I'm still heartbroken. My ADC got 300 more damage than me. I don't even know what I'm doing anymore.
Oh
Rolling,
my
obviously.
goodness, 300 more damage. Well, I have
Yeah.
to ask you because this is what came to my mind immediately. Just what are your expectations when you know you're laning against a Baron Samdi? Like, did you
Um,
come into that matchup thinking, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna roll over him"?
um, I just told Mystic, uh, if you Thor ult him, if you decide to commit to that, we kill him. If not, I'm just gonna keep farming, just try to do some rotations, and that's what I did. Because
Right, right.
basically, when you're fighting a Baron, like, um, it's just a matter of are you good at dodging abilities and using your abilities at the right time? Because like during laning phase, he hit me with his two like once.
Yeah, and I saw you show face in the mid game, or in the mid lane rather, early in the second game. That's a high level play. Cabane,
Hello.
perhaps
Oh,
the MVP of maybe the set. I mean, you came into that. What was that combined 11-1 stat line or something like that?
11 and 3, I think.
11-3. Wow, that's really impressive, Cabane.
Thank you.
How did you do it? What
So,
have you been
um,
practicing some like
Team
meditation
Labs.
perhaps?
I take a run every single day. No, I try to. I often tend to play around the opposing team and what they're doing. And I've played quite a lot with a few friends. And I've got a few friends who are more accustomed to ADC than I am, so I just took tips from him. Um, in terms of like how the games went in the first game, I will admit I do feel like I had to play a lot more passive than I did in the second game, just because of how aggressive the Jabalanque was.
Mhm.
But then it's just like play around your opponent, and if you're winning, keep going. If you're like behind a little bit, just be a bit passive, but you should be fine.
You certainly didn't have any problems playing from the periphery of the main action in either of those games. Morton, do
Hmm.
you have anything to ask our fine guests?
I do. I have one question really, and I think it's extremely pertinent. Tier,
Hmm.
can you confirm with us? Did your jungle block off your execute with his four wall
Uh,
under the tower? I saw you go for an execute on the Ulla, and then all of a sudden no Aegis was popped, and you just come to a stop. And I was like, did the four wall just block that ultimate, or?
I don't know. I just assumed that he Aegis.
Yeah,
have, I
no
guess you
Aegis.
could
I
say.
think your jungle
No
trolled you.
Aegis? Okay, I'm gonna have to shout out Mystic later. Thanks for calling that out.
It's been
Mm.
it got clips, mate. So it'll only take 2 seconds to find it.
Oh man. Oh no.
Wow.
You
But
know what?
speaking of trolls, Nathan missing an entire Kraken. Holy shit.
No, it's just
Twice.
zoning, man.
Just
It was a few of those. You know, the Kraken can be an excellent zoning tool,
Dude,
or
Nathan
a
missing a
tool of,
Kraken,
you
meanwhile
know,
me 1v4.
depending on how you choose to utilize it, it can be an excellent
That's
zoning tool.
that's fair enough. We did kill them all, so it's no matter to me.
On par with the
Hmm.
great on her pillar.
Listen,
We
if it
love
was
that
a
pillar.
pillar, I might have
Perhaps
gotten
not
around
worth
it.
the 90-second cooldown.
Yeah.
Mm.
Uh,
Still, yeah, I think there was some good games. I'm really happy with my performance at least.
yeah, and I think your teammates did very well as well. It was an overall well played set from you guys, and I think you executed. Well, this is what I said to Morton just a minute ago, but I think you guys executed uh, your comps in both games effectively.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna.
Pleasure casting.
Mm. I was gonna say, like, I said it in our team chat, like, after the game, but I'm proud of how our team did. They were, like, really good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you guys played very well. And to be completely honest with you, going into the second game, I really preferred the Wiener Beaners comp to yours. I just
Really?
for a few, yeah,
Okay.
just for a few reasons. I thought that the Awilix pick can feather step a lot of what you guys had to offer. I liked the Ulla. I liked the synergy between the Ulla and the potential for Kumbhakana to sort of mez a Poseidon on cooldown into a full combo. I just preferred their comp, and I felt like the fact that you won that game so decisively just sort of went to show how well you all played individually and as a team.
Yeah. I
Mm.
don't I don't think I agree with thinking that their comp was better. But I do think we were very confident playing into it. We felt like if we get in on these, if we just get a good dive, like we have Achilles Thor, like what is an Uller
Mm.
gonna do? Even with Kumba Peel, he's still gonna be part of that whole CC chain. With a Kraken to top it off, there's just so much coming at them, and they really had no response for it.
Yeah, it's all hypotheticals, all opinions as well. It's no drama, but yeah, I just think you executed better individually, individual
Hmm.
plays and stuff like that. I think you guys played really well.
Oh yeah, we put Cabane
Mm.
on a hyper carry, and can you guess what he did? He hyper carried.
Yeah, he showed
Impressive,
why Jing
it's
should be banned for sure.
No. Well, I was gonna say, you guys, like, carried for the whole game for that to happen, right?
We were
So,
just like either they give Kevin Jing or they give Mystic Kali. That's their choice right there.
and made a strong case for team of the week. Overall, just a fun set. Wishing the Wiener
mm,
Brigade the best of luck in their next week as well. They had some struggles in the second game, but they were looking really in it in the first, and for one might argue the first 15 minutes almost dominant. Um,
Yeah, they're not sleeper at all. Like
were you guys
we
mm,
actually
surprised?
had to we actually had to like change up our whole strategy for the first game because basically Nemesis was just messing up our backline uh in too many ways. So instead of like having Dozzy and Mystic dive with me into a Baba, which is like very safe, I jump in. I said like focus on the backline when they dive, both Mystic and Dozzy. And so I go in by myself, just try and zone the X ball, try and zone the Baba, and then we start winning the fights. So that worked out a
yeah.
lot. Nike
Um,
Shield does a lot for that.
mm. To answer your question, personally, I wasn't surprised because of the fact that I've not played against this team before. So a lot of it was just, it's a new team. Don't know them, treat them with the same respect as you would like any other team, right? So, you don't know what they have, you don't know like what they're playing. You just play on the same level that you normally do and just go from there.
So we'll see about Mercury Morton after me, but I have just one last question to ask you two. What do you think about the film Surfs Up?
Never heard of it.
Yes,
Never
I
heard of
know.
Yeah.
Surfs Up? What do you think about Surfs Up? You've heard of it, Gabain.
Uh, I personally, oh no, I have watched it. It was just a good meme. Like it's one of those. I'm at an age where it kind of came out as I was growing up, so I watched it once and I was
Right.
like, "Yo, gnarly lol," and then and then just like never watched it again.
Where would you rank it among the great films of all time?
Oh, but easily a 10 out of 10 actually.
Right. I asked him before the game, like, what, Nate, give me some of the best films of all time, just to kill some time. The guy didn't mention Shawshank Redemption, Forrest Gump, or Green Mile, anything like that. So his opinion's totally invalid, and
Mate, did he did,
conversation's over as far as I'm concerned.
did he at least mention like The Room?
Didn't mention anything good. He just said Surfs
Ah,
Up.
Dude,
I
I
like
love
I like Silence of
Morbius.
the Lambs. I think that's
I
a
love Morbius.
oh, Morbius is great, man.
now we're just now we're just derailing the whole conversation. Morton, any last thoughts from you towards these fine specimens of smite prowess?
No, no further questions, Your Honour.
Oh,
Alright.
I
brilliant.
I appreciate you coming by though, and thanks for putting on a show. That was really, really, really fun set to watch. You played excellently.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
just want to give a quick shout out to Dozzy. I love him so much. Best support.
Oh
Undisputed.
yeah.
Love him.
He
I
had a
want to
great set.
I want to give a shout out to my team. They're all wonderful.
Imagine getting 4-man ganked and then Kepri just shows up there in the jungle, ready to save you.
Oh
I,
heavens, the mind recoils. Well, thank you for being on with us, guys. It's a
Yeah, no,
pleasure.
thank you for casting. Really awesome job, guys.
hmm It was
Much
great.
And
But
Morton,
yeah,
appreciate it.
are we about ready to wrap up the broadcast of the Glarious Smite League this evening?
I think so. You can probably tell from my tone that I've just hit a shut off switch straight away. Like, boom, I'm done now. I'm so tired now. It's bedtime for me.
Oh well. Thank you for tuning in to this broadcast of the Glarious Smite League. I'm Jacob Wins here alongside Mercury Morton, and we're signing off.
And
Bye.
your mic is off. Your mic is off now.